What do Liverpool, Athletic Bilbao, Freiburg and Saint-Étienne have in common? Aside from a legendary European Cup quarter-final between the first and last of those teams, nothing obvious springs to mind. The answer is specific to the transfer window, which has just ended. These are the 4 clubs from Europe's Big 5 leagues who only made a single signing this summer. Still, it could be worse. Loria didn't buy anybody. How are their supporters currently feeling about that? Nonetheless, it's fair to say many Coppets are disappointed that their club did not sign more players this summer. Particularly as 5 men left for a fee. Key midfielder Gini Wijnaldum joined Paris Saint-Germain at the conclusion of his contract. And other potential squad members have gone out on loan. The net result of this activity is that the Reds have made profit of around £5.5 million in the transfer window. A fact guaranteed to aggravate a significant portion of the Liverpool fanbase. But how does their net spend compare to the rest of the Premier League? Let's take a look. These figures are taken from The Guardian's Transfer Interactive. Fees can vary from source to source thanks to clauses included in the deals. Exchange rates on foreign signings, and who knows what else. You may see figures which differ slightly elsewhere. While Liverpool made a profit on their summer dealings, 5 other clubs did so too. What's more, one of them was a Premier League title rival in the shape of Chelsea. You have to credit them for the business they did in order to end the window with a £31.7 million profit. They invested almost £100 million in Romelu Lukaku, but were able to more than make that up thanks to a remarkable 39 players leaving the club in one capacity or another. The sales of Tammy Abraham £34m, Fiaco Tomori £30m, Kurt Zouma £25m, and Mark Gahey £18m, brought in £107 million, and the Blues squad still looks very strong without them. The other clubs to turn a profit were Aston Villa £23m, Brighton £15.7m, Southampton £13m, and Wolves £1.6m. The former can be particularly pleased with their summer, as they used their Jack Grealish windfall to purchase Leon Bailey, Emi Buendia and Danny Ings. A trio of players who have all either played for or been linked with Liverpool. At the opposite end of the scale, Arsenal had the biggest net outlay in the Premier League, as their spending deficit of £125.5 million was the largest in Europe's top 5 leagues. It's reasonable to assume it was the largest in the world this summer. Yet their business perfectly illustrates the fly in the ointment when it comes to worrying about a club's net spend. Would any of the 6 players have signed significantly improve Liverpool's squad as it stands? It looks hard to make a convincing case that they would. The 2 Manchester clubs were next in the table of net spend, with United on £107 million and City on £69.1 million respectively, as Grealish represented 88% of the latter's gross outlay. Pep Guardiola's claim that the signing was largely covered by their sales clearly falls apart. The largest net spend by a club from outside the league's traditional Big 6 was invested by Crystal Palace. After their squad stagnated under Roy Hodgson, the Eagles spent £60.9 million on fresh blood, and didn't recoup a penny thanks to a host of out-of-contract players leaving the club. It was a similar story of sorts at Leeds, the 5th-placed club in terms of net spend this summer, as they also brought nothing in while splashing out £49.5 million to refresh Marcelo Bielsa's options. They were a shade ahead of West Ham £48.5m net spend, and Leicester £45.6m, both of whom are gearing up for the rigors of a Europa League campaign. Whether Liverpool now have the squad required for their own challenges at home and Europe this season remains to be seen. Retaining star players and extending their contracts, a key element of this summer's strategy, will of course help. But the transfer profit the Reds have made during this window will ensure questions will be asked of FSG's policy. If Liverpool are unsuccessful in reaching their targets on the pitch in 2021-2022, Jurgen Klopp is managing an ongoing rebuild which could accelerate next summer at Liverpool. After a relatively quiet summer on Merseyside, the transfer window has now closed. with Liverpool opting against chasing any incomings on deadline day. Ibrahima Konate was the club's only addition, arriving from RB Leipzig for a fee in the region of £36 million to address the void in the centre of defence, which caused problems for Jurgen Klopp throughout last season. However, despite his signature, supporters are generally disappointed with the lack of transfers, particularly in attacking areas, after the Reds decided against signing another forward. A rebuild should be happening according to many, but it is reasonable to suggest that such a process has already begun and drifted under the radar at Anfield. Once assessing the squad that delivered the Champions League and the Premier League for Klopp, a number of subtle changes have been made across several departments. Xherdan Shaqiri was a part of the title-winning squad, and since he's departed, Harvey Elliott has started 2 of Liverpool's 3 Premier League fixtures. The young English talent is left-footed like the Swiss, and he's creative, technical and capable as an attack-minded number 8 as well as a forward, and those traits were shared by Shaqiri. Adam Lallana has also left, but Curtis Jones has been promoted from the academy, and after a productive campaign last year, he should evolve further this time around as part of Klopp's midfield. Gini Wijnaldum is perhaps the most notable departure, having left the club on a free transfer this summer. But although he hasn't strictly been replaced, Thiago Alcantara's arrival 12 months ago could have been recognized by the club as an early solution. When Thiago arrived last summer, Liverpool needed a centre-back more than a midfielder. Dejan Lovren had been sold, and even though Liverpool needed to replace him, the Reds purchased Thiago instead before securing Konate this summer. Over the 2-year period, Thiago has replaced Wijnaldum and Konate has replaced Lovren. But the transition has been gradual because those deals happened in different windows. In addition, Diogo Jota and Kostas Tsimikas have been added to Klopp's squad. The two haven't strictly replaced any of the title-winning team, but they've added depth behind regular starters, with Jota in particular becoming a starter himself of late. Liverpool's rebuild has been seamless and quiet rather than wholesale. But changes have been made to the squad since Klopp and his players lifted the Premier League trophy. Bigger changes are said to be on the horizon further down the line, but right now, the Liverpool boss is managing an ongoing and gradual rebuild which is developing by the day, and will likely accelerate next year.